All right, guys. It's now, I think the Jazz have lost now 3 of their last 4 on the road. It is a bad road trip for the Jazz. It was a good night for the Hornets. Let's talk about it as the Hoops Nerd postgame show. All right. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel and drop a like. I would appreciate it. It helps the channel. Let's just get into this. First, we'll talk about the Hornets. Then let's talk about the Jazz. This Hornets team started off, they're probably one of the more fun teams in the league. Obviously, they're missing Gordon Hayward, who's out with injury, which is kind of just a regular thing for him at this point. With Gordon Hayward, this team looked like they really could make some noise. And I'm not saying they can't. I can't remember where they are in the playoffs seeding. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't really checked. I haven't followed the Hornets all that much lately. But what I will say about the Hornets is they're really fun, and I love Miles Bridges. And tonight, Miles Bridges was amazing. Let's jump into this. Bridges was one of those guys in the draft that I thought the Jazz should have traded up for at the time because he just had all the tools to be just a really, really nice. Let's make me smaller. What if I just was like this small? Let's do that. No, that looks stupid. Miles Bridges was one of those guys in the draft I really liked because he had all the physical tools to be something really interesting and special, and you just felt like if he could kind of develop that shot, then he could be a really nice starting caliber power forward. And this year, to start the year, he was going nuts. He was looking like all-star level player. Remember when they started the season, the Hornets, and Miles Bridges was going like 36 points, 30 plus points every night for like 5, 6 games in a row and was just going nuts? Well, tonight he had kind of one of those nights. He was 26 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 44% from three, 60% from the field. He was an absolute beast tonight. And what I just love about Miles Bridges is he's one of those guys that's just hyper athletic, but you can tell he's just powerful and strong. And so it's a combination that when he's at the rim, you're going to shoot 60% from the field because he's so dominant. But then you combine the fact that he's 4 for 9 from three, and you've got yourself a really nice offensive player that can do a lot of nice things. The 11 rebounds are nice, 7 defensive and 4 offensive. I mean, honestly, this Hornets team really dominated. Look at that, 16 offensive rebounds for the Hornets. Oh my gosh, you can't tell me. Let's see. Wait, what's the total? Oh, 9. For a second, I thought there was like 0 for the Jazz. I was like, there's no way. So they had more offensive rebounds for the Jazz. The Jazz had 29 total rebounds. So did the Hornets. Interesting, but they had more offensive rebounds, so they were just better on the offensive glass. That's 6 more possessions than Utah got. At least created possessions. How many field goal attempts did the Jazz have? Jazz had 40. Let's see. Jazz had 47. Hornets had 34. Interesting. That's probably because they shot a higher percentage, 46% from the field, 38% from three. I don't know. Who knows why and how numbers work? All I know is that the Hornets won. Let's not dive into that too much. I don't know how that math works. How did they? I don't know. Anyways, back to the moral of this story. Miles Bridges was awesome. And LaMelo Ball has been fantastic. He was an all-star this year, and congrats to him. He's had a really nice year. Tonight, 5 assists, 21 points. He was although 40% from the field isn't horrible and 33% from three isn't horrible. That's like passable. But it's just his ability to open up the floor and fight open guys and pushing and transition and things like that just kind of opens things up for all these Hornets players. And so, if Gordon Hayward can come back for them and be healthy, this is a team that can make a lot of noise. I do think they're like one guy away, and I don't know if Gordon Hayward is that guy for them. But they kind of remind me of the Toronto Raptors, where they kind of need that one dominant star, and they could honestly win the title. But and when Gordon Hayward comes back, I think they'll be a perennial playoff team as long as he can stay healthy. But we'll see. Either way, and then Terry Rozier is one of those guys that I've always been a fan of. Tonight he was just killer. 5 for 8 from three, just killed the Jazz. I think he had one of those threes at the end that was just a bomb, a monster shot that just really, really took out the Jazz at the end there. And 9 for 20 from the field for him. So 25 points for Scary Terry. Interesting. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's Friday night. And the people here choosing to be on this show on Friday night, shout out to you because it's another Jazz loss on a Friday night. The game started at 5, so I don't know how many Jazz fans even watched the first part of this game. And it ended in a Jazz loss. So let's talk a little bit about the Jazz. I wanted to talk about Rudy. Rudy's impact lately, he was a -6 tonight. The only one who had a worse plus minus was Jordan Clarkson. I thought this was interesting. I just didn't, and then you'll look and there's 19 rebounds. But what's funny is Quinn Snyder at the end of the game talked about the rebounding at the end. So I actually feel like these 19 rebounds are a little deceptive. I feel like Rudy was collecting all the rebounds instead of everyone else for most of this game, and you can kind of see that. Like 2 rebounds for Pascal. Rudy Gay got 1. I mean, and Rudy Gay's supposedly one of our best rebounders. Royce O'Neal, who typically gets 5, 6, although at one point he was averaging 7 or 8, he gets 2. Juancho Hernan-Gomez starts, and so he gets 5. But it feels like Rudy kind of was the main rebounder, but I just don't feel like our rebounding at the end of this game was very good. I agree with Quinn on that. But outside of rebounding, I just didn't feel like Rudy was all that great tonight. It just didn't feel like the impact was really there. He had 11 points, but the Jazz were trying to feed him a lot. I wish they had a thing here where we could just see field goals missed. But it wasn't a great night for Rudy. And I haven't seen Rudy really have a big impact night for this road trip. He wasn't very great against Brooklyn. He had 7 total rebounds against the Boston Celtics when the Jazz got just absolutely destroyed. And then there's tonight, and I just didn't feel quite like the impact was really there. Weird. I don't know. I don't know if he's tired. I don't know what's going on, but it wasn't really that great. I mean, he did get 19 rebounds, so you don't just accidentally get 19 rebounds. That's not, that is something good. Let's see. Did he get any blocks? He did have 1 block shot. Let's watch the block shot from Rudy, just for curious. Let's see, what quarter is this? This is fourth quarter, last part of the game. Oh, that's right. This was a nice block against LaMelo. So that was a nice play. But I just for most of this game, it didn't feel like his impact. And what I wanted to do is, because in the comments we talk a lot about Donovan Mitchell, and everyone complains on this channel that I am way too pro Donovan Mitchell or something like that. And I'm sorry. I am going to be he's the Jazz's best player. I was talking to someone on Twitter, and they were talking about how he wasn't good in the clutch. He just cost us so many games. I tell you what, if Donovan Mitchell doesn't play this game, this Jazz team doesn't really have anything even remotely close to a chance at winning this game. Donovan Mitchell was good in this game. 10 for 21 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3. Solid percentages as the lead guy. And then he had 7 assists. So he was moving the ball to everyone. Those are great numbers. Now, he had 6 turnovers. That is not good. That is not good. Or is it? Let's watch the tape. No one's going to watch this, so we're just going to watch this. It could probably get demonetized. I don't care. All right, so reason I want to watch these. You see on the thing, 6 turnovers. You see online, people are saying, oh, Donovan Mitchell's not clutch. The Jazz lost it at the very end. He missed that bunny shot, which he did. There's no doubt. Donovan Mitchell missed that last layup at the end, and that sucked. Now, we could talk about how the Jazz couldn't stop the Hornets all night long, and were basically playing from behind all night because the defense wasn't good enough. But yes, Donovan Mitchell missed that shot at the end, and he did have one of these turnovers is really bad that cost him just 2 points. So you could argue that 4 points were cost by Mitchell mistakes on turnovers. Definitely. So yeah, if Donovan Mitchell doesn't make that bad turnover on one of these that costs him 2 points, if Donovan Mitchell makes that layup, then the Jazz might have won this game. Let's see. Let's go back just to see what the score was. I forgot. It was a close game, so the Jazz probably win the game. So if you look at it in that sense, you take 2 points off because of the turnover and add them to the Jazz, and then you add the layup, then the Jazz win this game. What is that? 105, 103, the 2 points. Then it's at least close, you know? But let's go back and let's watch these turnovers and just see. So here we go, pick and roll. Oh, look. He's trying to get the... Oh. What was... Oh. So this is a turnover for Donovan, not for Rudy, by the way. And you could argue maybe it's a little too late. Everyone always complains. Get the ball high. Don't pass it to Rudy's knees. Don't do this. Don't do that. You've got to get the ball. Well, at some points, sometimes it feels like you have to absolutely get the ball in like the most pristine spot for Rudy to get the ball. Let's watch this. Watch. This is Donovan doing what everyone wants him to do and complains. Get Rudy the ball. Here we go. Pick and roll. He's got two big... He makes... And, you know... Who is this right here? Is that PJ Washington? What's his name? I think so. Isn't it Washington? I can't remember. Anyways, makes a nice play here, but can Rudy at least get this ball? He gets it to him. But also, why is Rudy, like, under the basket at this point? Like, Rudy needs to, like... Look, Rudy can feel him right here. Rudy knows he's there. Rudy needs to seal, like, and maybe it's too late at this point, but Rudy needs to seal him off. Honestly, if you want to get the ball in the post, and here's another thing. People online talk about Rudy needing more touches. Rudy is the most important player. Rudy needs to get the ball. More shots for Rudy. More shots, more shots, more shots. All right, well, if you're going to do that and you're going to play in the post, then you need to be a little bit better at sealing off your man. Because Donovan delivers this pass, and this is good enough pass. I don't know where else Donovan's supposed to put this. But this is a turnover, Donovan Mitchell. All right, so I'm not gonna give Donovan this one. So I watched these before the show. Where is Donovan? He's right here. This one, it wouldn't let me rewind because this is weird. I don't know why this went to Donovan. They gave that turnover to Donovan. What in the world? Let's see. Is the chat working? I got to pop this out. I think it is. Okay. So, this is weird. Why is this a turnover on Donovan Mitchell? What? What? Okay, so that's not a turnover, but it went down as a turnover. So that's two that weren't really his fault. That one was not a turnover on Donovan. He didn't even touch the ball. That's weird. That's a mistake on the NBA. Let's look here. Pick and roll. Look who's running pick and roll. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. Let's watch this. Okay, Donovan creates space, gets the ball to Rudy. Is this Donovan Mitchell's fault? He's trying to get him the ball. He's trying to get him the ball. There he goes. Rudy rolls. Don recognizes. LaMelo makes the play and stops the pick and roll. They know what's coming, by the way. We saw this with Washington. He slides over from the weak side. Look at this. So they're going this way. So LaMelo's on the weak side here. He just knows it's coming. So I guess that's on Don for doing that, but that's running the game plan, and that's trying to get Rudy the ball. Rudy, like, can Rudy somehow get this ball maybe? And maybe Donovan needs to get it to him quicker. But we watched that earlier this year with Joe Ingles, and it wasn't working either. And part of that was Joe Ingles was being lazy half the time. But if you get it to him too early, Rudy doesn't really have the ball handling to kind of make a move all the time. And if you get it to him too late, here's what goes on here. So I don't know what's the answer. I really don't. You know? If you get Rudy the ball too early, he does not have a shot. Like, he doesn't have, like, and we've talked about this on the show before. I've wanted him to get a push shot, like the Rashawn Holmes push shot. He doesn't have a pull-up jumper. He doesn't have a hook shot. And he doesn't, like, so I don't know what the answer is. When people tell me, like, Rudy Gobert needs more shots. What are we, what? How? Explain to me. You know, we could look at this in another way. Like, let's look at all the other guys on the floor. So let's pause it right here. Who's open? Clarkson is guarded, obviously. O'Neal's relatively, I guess you could pass it to O'Neal, but he's not getting an open shot. Does Donovan need to develop this so that he can get to a corner three to Royce? Maybe. But that's one less shot for Rudy Gobert. Everyone's talking about more shots for Rudy. And I don't know exactly what I'm trying to get at here, but I don't feel like these are fair things to just say this is a Donovan Mitchell turnover. I feel like this is a Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert turnover, but Donovan gets it. All right, here, let's watch this one right here. Jordan Clarkson guard-to-guard screen. Clarkson bobbles the ball. Let's see here. So, is this a bad pass? I mean, it hits him in the hand. Sets it. Is Clarkson waiting? Clarkson's watching him. Donovan makes a pretty amazing pass. It's open lane to the basket if he gets it. Nope. He just bobbles that. And that goes turnover Donovan Mitchell. That's turnover Donovan Mitchell. So that, I don't know if I would blame that on Mitchell either. Would you? That's a pretty amazing pass, to be honest. And Donovan had 7 assists tonight. So he sets this up pretty darn well. Bobbled pass. But people are going to go in the comments and tell me that Donovan Mitchell sucked. People are going to go in the comments and tell me that Donovan Mitchell, like, cost them the game. Well, this is now 4 of the last 5, and I would argue this is not Mitchell's fault. It's like when you blame the quarterback in the NFL because he only went like 50% from the field, and then you watch the tape and you had 7 drops. It's like, well, all right, let's watch. This was the bad one. All right, this is the one where you can blame Donovan Mitchell. This was bad. He didn't see, he should have seen him coming. Very bad. I mean, that's Terry Rozier. That's on Donovan Mitchell. So 100%, he did a bad job there. Very bad, and that's 2 points. So if you get that back, that's the turnover I was talking about earlier. If you get that back, you might win this game. Let's see. All right, let's watch this one here. That's a bad call by the referee. like they even challenged this because it's ridiculous. How many teams, by the way, get called on this? Look, Donovan Mitchell gets called for an offensive foul here, so that counts as a turnover. Like, sure, he's being physical with Rozier, but Rozier's not set. And Donovan doesn't lean the shoulder down. Like, Donovan doesn't lead with the shoulder or bull him over. You could argue, oh, it's the hand, but his hands are on the ball. So how is he, I guess, I mean, look, the only place that you get a foul is like right here. But at this point, the ball is in both hands. And he's moving to the rim. I don't know. Ban referees, by the way. Referees are just like the worst. But the point of this is that they are going to. This is like a turnover on Donovan Mitchell, but really what it is just a bad call. So is it Donovan Mitchell's fault that the referees in the NBA suck? Is that Donovan Mitchell's fault? No, they suck. They're really bad at their jobs, by the way. The NBA has the worst officials in professional sports. Worse than the NFL, worse than baseball. The NBA has the worst officials. They just do. And I'm sure if you're a Hornets fan, you could show other plays where they screwed up calling fouls against the Jazz. I'm sure. Why? Because NBA officials suck. They suck. They're really bad. The shame about this is that Jazz fans who like to blame everything on Donovan Mitchell won't watch all this film. They aren't subscribed to the Hoop Just Nerd channel like they should be. But this counts as a turnover for Donovan Mitchell, and it's a bad call. And this is in the clutch. Really, what this should be is an and one and Donovan Mitchell going to the line. And if it goes in, then everyone calls him a hero. Instead, it's a sucky, stupid ref who, I guess we'll leave it at that. I hate NBA officials. They are so bad. And there is no accountability for NBA officials, just zero. Just zero for how bad they are. And they are the most overpaid group of trash out there. Unbelievable. So, anyways, I wanted to go through those. So, 5 out of the 6 turnovers were not, like, in my opinion, something you could just, that were really Donovan Mitchell's fault. Like, could he have done a better, more precise pass to Rudy? Maybe a little quicker on that first pass. Maybe not pass it to him at all, I guess. But these are Donovan Mitchell trying to get Rudy the ball. I like, this is what I talk about when I'm like in the comments and people are like, "Yeah, but Donovan Mitchell cost him the game. Why do you always say good things about Donovan Mitchell? You just love Donovan Mitchell. You're obsessed with Donovan Mitchell." Blah, 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 blah. Okay, well then watch the film. Actually watch the film. Go back. It helps you out, honestly. Go back on your own time. If you're a weirdo like me, I watched every Ty Corbin game twice. That's how much of a loser I am. I watched every Ty Corbin game that he coached twice, sometimes 3 times. I'm not right. But you know what? It helps you like see things. It helps you realize things. You know? It wasn't on Donovan tonight. Absolutely not. Could he have made more shots? Sure. 2 of these were like, one was the bunny at the end, and, that sucked. It's too bad that didn't go in. Normally that would. This should be like 11 for 21. And he takes that 1-3 last-ditch effort 3, so that shouldn't count. According to Cleaning the Glass, you guys should be subscribed to Cleaning the Glass, probably, because they take out garbage, although that will probably count because it was in the clutch, but the game was already over, so it shouldn't count. So really, this should be 11 for 20 and a Jazz win. But the bunny didn't count, and he had to take a last-second 3 that he wouldn't have had to take if the Jazz were, had any sort of defense, and if Rudy could have been better, to be honest. But even Rudy wasn't like the main thing. Rudy had some nice moments tonight. I'm not going to blame this on Rudy either. I actually thought Rudy had some pretty good moments, but Rudy's impact was not quite what you would have hoped tonight. I guess if we want silver linings, we try to be positive. I want to be positive. I really do. Yeah, and Christian DeHaas, the problem is never on one player. If you're not playing well as a team, no one is playing well. I agree. And I would say that honestly, like, and I will, so there was this, there's this one podcast, I don't know if you've heard it, it's called Revisionist History. It's Malcolm Gladwell. And one of the podcasts I really enjoyed, they were talking about soccer and basketball. And like when you talk about team building for soccer and you talk about team building for basketball, they talked about how like you can get a star player in soccer and it will not affect things. As they looked at teams that like got the star player like Messi or Ronaldo and things like that, and players like that, I mean, and how like you would get this superstar player and the soccer team doesn't necessarily do that much better. And then in basketball, you get like one superstar player and all of a sudden it changes your team. Like case in point, Kawhi Leonard to the Hornets. Not the Hornets, the Raptors. They go all the way and win the title. Part of the reason is when you have 11 guys is it 11 guys on a soccer field or how many guys is it? I can't remember. Let's just say 11 because I'm used to football. Although football is different because you could argue that there's one position that's the most important, which is quarterback. So let's just pretend there's 11 guys on the soccer field. If that's right. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Anyways, let's just pretend soccer has 11 players. If you replace the worst player on the team, like the thing that Malcolm Gladwell talked about in that podcast is that they found that with soccer, if you have 11 guys, the last guy on the field, like the weakest link, the worst player, if you just replace that guy with a better player and you had an overall chain of guys, it actually had a much bigger impact than if you just had one superstar striker, but then you had like 2 bad guys at the end because you had to put all your money into your striker, but then it meant you had 2 weak links. And it actually hurt the teams that did that. That's why those soccer teams pay an enormous amount of money. It's because they want to get that striker, but then they also have to fill in the back end. But this study or whatever found that it was more effective to not get the star player in soccer and just make sure that your end of the bench guy, like your end of rotation guys, the guys that are on the field, the worst player was better than the other team's worst player, so that your overall chain was just better, you know? And it was better to have it like that and have an overall team than it was to have like the Messi and Ronaldo, but then have worse, links at the end of the chain, if that makes sense. Basketball's different. There's 5 guys on the court, and so the impact of all 5 is much different. You put LeBron James on your team, or you put Giannis, or you put Kevin Durant. I mean, look at the Brooklyn Nets. You go from and they were pretty good with D'Angelo Russell, but they turned that into Kevin Durant. And when Kevin Durant and last season, before all the craziness of this year, you put Kevin Durant on the floor, it just changes everything. We all saw that the other night when the Jazz played the Brooklyn Nets. It was that one-star guy with kind of a bunch of solid, okay role players, but I would argue that more players on the Jazz, that link of players for the Jazz was better overall than the overall link with the Nets, but it didn't matter because Kevin Durant is just so utterly dominant that it didn't matter. And so you really rely on your stars in basketball. That's what it talked about. It talked about like the single star is more important in basketball than it is in soccer. Soccer is more of a chain. Basketball, you do need those stars. Now, I don't know if that means that Donovan Mitchell is not dominant enough of a star, and so maybe you could complain about that. Or maybe Rudy Gobert is not like that transcendent dominant of a star. Perhaps. It does feel like with this Jazz team, they are kind of a chain link team. That the idea is that we have 2 stars in Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And then we have a lot of good chain links. Like the Jazz's worst player on the court is typically going to be better than the other team's worst player on the court. Right? Bojan Bogdanovic, the Jazz are missing Bojan Bogdanovic, and I actually feel like they haven't really missed him all that much because of the benefit. Like this game, Juancho was actually pretty amazing, and I kind of wonder why he only played 28 minutes, to be honest. He was awesome. They still lost. I have to say, guys, you had a really good performance tonight from Juancho. He had 14 points. He had 5 rebounds. He was really solid. And they were still a minus. So I guess you could blame it on Donovan Mitchell. I just feel like tonight you needed more from Rudy Gobert. But also, I have to say, Jordan Clarkson tonight, the defense was just not good. He did start hitting shots in the second half, but 38% from the field, 22% from 3. He had the worst plus minus. And he played 35 minutes. I mean, honestly, if you want to talk about who was really bad, and plus Rudy Gay too. Look at this. 1 for 8 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, 3 points, a -2. It's really like the Jazz's bench that killed him. I actually felt like Eric Paschall was good, and look, he was even. 4 for 4 from the field. The energy was really great, and he had some good defensive plays. But man, you have Jordan Clarkson and Rudy Gay that were just bad tonight. Just really bad. I'm a little stuffy nose tonight. I think my boy got me sick because he's been a little bit sick. But yeah, Donovan Mitchell was not the reason they lost tonight. Donovan Mitchell was the reason they were close. Rudy Gobert was fine. It was a subpar Rudy game, I would say. He wasn't like horrendous, but it was a game from Rudy. And it's funny how like we say, 11 and 19 for Rudy in like a bad Rudy game. So that tells you how good Rudy Gobert is. He's really good. On an off night, he still puts up big time numbers. Jordan Clarkson and Rudy Gay really were kind of the reason the Jazz lost tonight. And also Quinn keeps playing Trent Forrest, and he should not. He should be playing Jared Butler and just getting him better, because you know why? The Jazz have lost 3 of their last 4. This is not really working, and you should adjust. Christian DeHaas, house money, baby. This is for good vibes in the universe for next game. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Christopher Cole, thank you, friend. Oh, $5, Christopher. Thank you so much. I like the gift. Try again. Yeah. I don't know. $5 though, Australian. I really appreciate it. That's really great. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, I, I, you know what? Jared Butler should play, or Nikhil Alexander Walker should play. But Forrest wasn't really good defensively tonight either. Uh, he did have 3 assists. He did have one nice assist to Rudy, which was cool. But overall, he's just not. The last 3 games, he's been bad. He's not been very good. Like offensively, not good at all. And it just is weird that we never change. It's like I don't know. You could, but you don't. Jordan Clarkson plays 35 minutes a night. I would have tried if this is me critiquing after the fact, but I would have played Wancho 35 instead of Clarkson. Clarkson was just not great tonight, especially in the first half. It was really not good. 2 for 9 from three. It's just hard to overcome, and he's shooting like 30% from three for the season. Whiteside, Christian DeHaas, how Whiteside was out, so injury or whatever. And yeah, if Bojan plays, they probably win tonight because the offensive output from that is probably enough to win the game. But the Jazz have defensive problems right now, guys. It's really bad. The effort's not very good. The talent's not very good. I don't know. The game plan's obviously not really working. Whether it's not working or players are not executing, I don't know. There's just like a lot of bad things going on right now. And you make your pick, and the funny thing is, like, I go on this show and I talk about who could play and who could not play and what thing could Quinn have done better, and if Donovan Mitchell hadn't have made that turnover, and if Rudy Gobert could have caught the ball a few more times than he does, we talk about these things. But sometimes it's just sometimes effort on defense, and I know sometimes we talk about effort. Like if you go watch, NBA basketball, if you go watch the G League, if you watch it like a scout and just watch players, sometimes effort's not good enough because some guys are just like a freak athlete. Like there is no amount of effort that is going to help you when there's a lane and open space and Miles Bridges rises to hammer the ball. That is when you make a business decision and get out of the way, right? Like effort's not helping you there. And then effort is really hard when you're guarding John Morant. He's just sometimes faster than you, and if he gets like even a little bit of an angle, he's gone. There's nothing you can do. Same with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's so fast that if you give him the slightest airspace, boom, gone. No amount of effort is stopping that. But there are times when you've got high level athletes playing that, the effort just needs to be better. It just does. But and Christian DeHaas, I like it. I love seeing the effort from Walker and Pascal. Yeah. Yeah. Those guys are trying to earn spots. But you know what happens when you try to earn spots and you try to give energy and the guys ahead of you are doing poorly and you're working really hard and you never see any sort of reward for it? You get frustrated, probably. Right? Like, it's just not happening with this. It's just not happening. And yet Jared Butler's right there. And we've seen Jared Butler do some really cool things. And then you've got, Jordan Clarkson has no leash whatsoever. He can do no wrong. He gets to do whatever he wants. And it costs the Jazz this season because I can tell you right now, he's not a good defender. And so when he has nights like tonight where he's shooting like this, that's why this happens. It's rough. And he gets 35 minutes. Like 35 minutes. And Rudy Gay's just, I'm sorry, it's been a bust. At a certain point, we can just admit that it's been a bust. Steve, Jazz exile. Good point. I mean, you're on the tough road trip, fourth game in the road trip, and you don't think Jared Butler would come out and play hard, or Nikhil Alexander Walker wouldn't come out and play hard? If you see that Clarkson doesn't have it, or the defense is not there, wouldn't you at least put in someone else just to try? I don't know. Nothing ever changes, so I don't know what the answer is, guys, but these losses are painful. This was a painful loss to be honest, this is a really tough loss because this Jazz schedule is rough for the rest of the year, and they needed to win this one because this was a very winnable game. DraftKings had them favored by 4 points. So anyone who says the Jazz, the Hornets probably should have won because it was. I mean, the gamblers had the Jazz by 4. So there you go. Pain. By the way, shout out to everyone who watched that short. I did that for fun for my TikTok. You can follow me on TikTok, but I haven't even seen Interstellar. I need to watch that. Let's see. So let's give a shout out to our All-Stars tonight. But anyways, I thought that was really fun. I might do some more because it was just fun. And if it's fun, do it, right? All right, let's give a shout out to Christian House, Money to Haas, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Baby Elliott Matson, X marks the spot for Zintas, Jordan the Goat Best Joshua Hansen, The Danish Destroyer, and one, Anton Warren, Ezekiel Rice Seabay, The Man for Down Under, JT Buckets Wardell, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, Eric C., The C Stains for Champion, Donald Schooley, schooling all of us, DW to CB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Lee Christensen driving the lane, Patrick Kagubo, the connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, that's all I got tonight. You guys are amazing. Thank you for being a part of the channel and subscribing and watching in a loss. It was a tough loss tonight. This was a bad loss. The Boston Celtics loss felt like it destroyed the team. This loss was just kind of depressing. Hopefully the Jazz can figure it out. We've got, 8 games left to the playoffs? So that's 8 games to figure things out. Hopefully they can come home and magically all these problems get figured out. I hope so. I truly hope so. But, man, we'll see. Maybe. And who knows? Maybe they got hot in the playoffs. You never know. It could happen. Let's just hope Bogey can get healthy and that in the playoffs we can make some really cool adjustments that win all the games and the Jazz become title holders, that they win a championship, right? Let's hope so. All right, guys, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you next time.